for a performer. For one thing, you've always controlled your own business life. How did you get the strength to do that?
I just always had this feeling that I had a lot of good, common horse sense. That always came from my upbringing. My daddy was the same way. My daddy never went to school, at all in his life, but my dad happens to be one of the smartest people that I know as far as running things and organizing things and knowing what to do. I've had a lot of trouble. I've had to fight a lot of people to get, through a lot of the things. I mean, I've worked with people that were not easy. But I just was always stubborn. I just always, like I say, knew who I was. I knew what I wanted. A lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of people don't want the responsibility of being as responsible for themselves as I have always been.
But what would happen? I mean, would people come up to you, say business people, and suppose that you were kind of, a dumb blonde and didn't know what you were doing?
I don't ever remember anybody thinking I was a dumb blonde. I remember that I might have looked like a dumb blonde. Maybe somebody thought that until they started to carry on a conversation with me. And I think that I was always so upfront. I always had something to say, often too much. But I've never been intimidated or threatened by men. I've always loved men. I have a father and 6 brothers, and my whole life has been surrounded, so I understand that men are no different than women. They're just as soft and they come on a lot stronger a lot of times. So I just always knew the true nature of a man. And when a man used to, men in my early days when I was in Nashville, when they would come on to me as a man would come on to a woman, maybe I looked cheap or easy or whatever, but it didn't take them long to realize that, that was not the case.
You have a real unconventional marriage.
Well, we've always got along real well. He's very independent. He's a good friend of mine. We've been together for a long, long time. I met him first day I got to Nashville in 1964. So we dated for 2 years, and we've been married for 20. And he doesn't think that I have to be there all the time for us to be married. I don't think I have to be there all the time for us to be married.
And you're not jealous of each other?
Not a bit. That's the funny thing. Well, we've never, give each other reason that we could see. It's like whatever he does, I don't care what he does, as long as he's happy and he don't throw it under, my nose. And it's the same with him, It's like he's got a great personality and he's very well liked. I'm proud, that people like him because I can see why they would.
Now I get to ask you a question that everybody always asks me. Finally, I can turn it around. Why did you decide not to have children?
I can't have children physically. I love children. I don't know that also wasn't God's will, for me not to have kids. I mean, I try to look at things in a way that I can put them in a proper place because somebody has to be out there doing something to entertain other people's children.
who don't know anything about feminism probably think that Dolly Parton and feminism are quite far apart. Do you feel like that?
I just do what I do, and I am who I am. I do my work the best that I know how. And I think that I represent women quite well. I think that I'm a great inspiration to a lot of people as far as just being strong and being independent and feeling self-sufficient.
Once it became a comedy, Dolly seemed like a good choice.
Gee, thanks.
It started off maybe seriously. Lily was always in my mind. And then suddenly we thought, comedy, it has to be a comedy. And then right away, and Dolly Parton.
What drew you to her?
Her music. But
What's new to you about doing a film? Now, as I understand it, you had never even seen a film being made. Is that correct?
That's true. I had went through the Universal tour. Yeah, I did. When I said that I would do the movie, when I read the script, they just sent me the script and I memorized it. I just assumed that you had to.
Like a play.
everybody's part, though.
Yeah, my part and her part and her part and Dabney's part. But I mean, I just knew the script back and forth, and I just every week I would read it, and I would read it with my secretary. And, I'd have her read the other parts. Yeah, I would practice. Yeah, and it was fun. It was.
How were you in my part?
I was great in your part.
When I went to New York in the 60s, I worked in lots of offices, and some I had steady jobs and some were office temps, so I really got around to a lot of corporations, big and small, and I had lots of experiences like that.
We wanted people who work, men and women who have a 9-to-5 job, to see the movie. Well, no one's going to go see a movie if what they're seeing is exactly what they experience every day. I mean, that's pretty boring. But if you raise it to these fantastic heights that we did, I mean, it's the zaniest thing I ever saw in my life.
Kenny moments later became one of the few non-crew members to see the top-secret keel. Now we would assume no longer secret. And joining us on board, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton. How you doing?
Well, doing fine. How are you?
I'm fine. What'd you see down there?
I can't tell. It's a secret. I mean, just because I saw it, you don't expect me to just come right out from it. Give me a day or so.
And I heard they actually let you steer this thing?
They did. I actually steered for about, I'm not sure if that's the proper nautical term, but it's the only one I know either.
Yeah.
For about 10 minutes.
Well, I didn't say drive it. That's what I wanted to say, too. Dolly, I know you're not here for the cup races, but I mean, any interest at all in sailing? Why didn't you go out on it?
Well, I couldn't go out because of all this hair. I was afraid that there I'd be with my hair blowing in the wind and Kenny too busy to run after it. So I stayed at home. And I'm going to watch it on television. But I'm enjoying watching. I love all the excitement. Everybody seems to be in such a high spirit, and I'm really glad to be part of that great energy.
Why'd you two get back together now, and why Australia?
We don't know.
Actually, what happens is I think we enjoy working together, first of all. And both of us have been down here and done well by ourselves down here. And we just, it's always been both of our theories that occasionally you have to put something back into the industry. So to come down together, it becomes more of an event, and I think something for the people of Australia that they don't get, obviously, if I come by myself or she comes by herself.
And plus, Kenny's taking some great pictures while he's down here.
Well, I know that. You're doing another collection of photographs, right? What do you find particularly fascinating down here?
Well, down here, I haven't had a chance to really shoot. We've only been here 2 days, but there are some beautiful places here. One of the reasons that I wanted to come down and work the schedule we're working, which has 3 and 4 days off at a time, is to go to some of the outback and try and shoot some stuff. I hope I get to do that.
Give me some generalizations, if you will, about differences between the audiences you find here and those you find back home. Are there some songs that travel well and others that don't?
I think, especially here, the people, as far as my fans go, they really like the older country songs that I've done, but they seem to be similar to the audiences that we have at home as far as my people are concerned. They're very excited, and they really listen very close. They're not as rowdy as, say, Texas people or some of the people that, that really just get into it, because we speak with a little different accent. They're more attentive, and I know they're quieter, more reserved.
You speak with an accent?
Well, but you know what I mean.
They have a tendency between songs. It's like the Japanese in a sense where they clap and then they stop because they want to hear what you're saying. And what it does is it does jar your rhythm sometimes because you're used to applause carrying you to the next song. But it's easy to intellectualize, but it's really tough emotionally when you're trying to get a rhythm going.
Sure, they have their own country music down here. They call it bush music. Now, you're familiar with it?
I'm familiar with it, but haven't really heard much of it.
Does it sound very much like yours? I mean, to your ear?
I haven't actually heard it. I'm just familiar with the fact that it exists down here. We have some people who are on this tour have made it a point to say they are going to expose us to this because it sounds interesting to me.
Dolly, I can't let this pass without noting that Stars and Stripes has unveiled a new spinnaker down here, a new sail, and named it Dolly. How does that strike you?
Well, I was complimented. I mean, it's like if anything I can do to help, anything I can do to help. I told them not to toss the sail out because I need a good halter top when the race is over.
They gave us their reasons for calling it Dolly. Why do you think they called it Dolly?
Well, it is America's Cup, ain't it?
Not a bad idea. And I'm not going to let the moment pass without noting that you didn't tell me this and you didn't say it so that it makes it over air, but you gave a donation to the folks on Stars and Stripes and they could use the money.
Well, they can't, it's funny because we were talking to them today and they're about $2.7 million away from their needs. And I think if people at home had any interest in this, and I must tell you, if you're down here and feel the energy, it's something you should get involved in. And a little bit from a lot of people goes a long way.
Yeah, there's a lot of bucks involved, but there's still a couple dollars short of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll let you go.
Get me out of this wind before I just blow my whole image.
It's not that bad, I promise. Dolly, Kenny, good luck. Okay,
Thank you.
travel safe. We'll come back in just a moment. There's more ahead from Australia and New York right after this.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Dollywood.
Standing just 7 miles from where she grew up as the fourth of 12 children, Dolly Parton opened Dollywood Park, and she burst into song with an old high school band.
And they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you. That's a little high for me, gang.
Dollywood is an expansion of an existing theme park, which has been given the Dolly Parton touch with country crafts like weaving and food the way it tasted when she was little, and a museum depicting her career. The park is part of the mountains where things remain pretty much the way they were when Dolly was a girl, but where folks now recognize that cultivating tourists is a big cash crop. And hello, Dolly, this morning, live from Tennessee. Good morning, Dolly.
Well, good morning to you, Jane.
It looks a little slow behind you. When do the gates open?
Well, it's still early here. I think the gates opened about 10 o'clock this morning, and we got up a little early so we could come talk to you.
Well,
it's a little cloudy.
I appreciate that. Listen, after all these years, maybe you're used to it, but what's it like seeing your name and your face and hearing your voice everywhere you go?
Well, I'm getting a little sick of it, but it is a big thrill. I really, all week I've felt sort of like Alice in Wonderland. There's a little area up here where I used to live called Booger Town, so I guess I sort of feel like Alice in Booger Town this week. But everybody's having a lot of fun, and I don't think anybody could ever really know all the good feelings that I've had inside myself. And it's a big thrill to be able to come home and really bring something that's going to be great for the people, provide so many jobs. And the opening was a big success, and we're looking for a great season.
What was that called? What town?
Well, there's a little area they call Booger Town, and most everybody up here has been in or out or lived in Booger Town, so Anyway, we got a lot of names like that. Possum Holler, Frog Alley, Locust Ridge. We got a lot of weird names up here.
Dolly, are you ever able to, say, go around incognito a little bit and see how people are enjoying themselves?
Well, I go around the park every day in an old antique car. I take several trips around the park, and they are enjoying themselves. And I don't really want to go incognito. I mean, I did all this for the attention. Why would I want to not be seen?
How often can visitors over the next weeks and months expect to see you live and in person there?
Well, I'm going to actually probably perform in the park about 3 times during the season, and the park is open May through October. I'll be back again in concert in July, and I'll probably spend a week then. And then I'll be back again during the October festival, the fall festival with the antiques and all that in the fall, which is actually beautiful. So that's a wonderful time to come. People should really make plans to come. Since people are not traveling abroad this year, this is a wonderful area to go.
Well, maybe your timing was pretty good. Dolly, one of the features is a replica of your family home. Now, originally the plan was to actually put the family home there in the park. What happened to that plan?
Well, the people that now own the property and the old house, they didn't really want to sell the house because it was personal to them as well, and it was actually falling apart. It would have been very hard to move. So my brother, Bobby, who worked here on the park, he built the replica, and the replica certainly looks better than the house did that we lived in, but it's certainly got the feel. My mother fixed it all up. She got all the antiques, and she put it back as close to what it was when we lived in it, and she had a great time doing that. So this has been a wonderful thing for my family as well as for the other people in this part of the country, and I've certainly enjoyed it.
Well, Dolly, have fun there at Dollywood. Thank you for being with us.
You got to come bring your kids down, you and Debbie Allen too.
You bet. Follow the Smokies.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
come back home someday.
I don't know about that. I'm lonesome.
Oh, that would be fun. You want to just go that line?
part.
I'm lonesome for you. I'm lonesome for my precious children. They live so far away. Oh, may they hear my calling, and come back home someday.
When you're doing your harmonies, do you just do it naturally and sing together, or do you talk about it? What's the process involved?
Well, we talk about it, and then we just do it naturally. We decide who's going to sing what, and then do it naturally.
It's hard to pick a song for a collective mind. It was one thing picking a song for an individual, because that's your story and how you tell it, and you see it just in that particular way. But to tell a story sort of from 3 points of view, you know, or from one point of view with 3 others kind of chiming in, yeah, I felt like that too, you know, that kind of thing. That's a different kind of process, you know. But usually when somebody would suggest a song, it'd become real apparent if it was appropriate for us.
It's the kind of music we wanted to do, traditional music, and there are, thank goodness, you know, certain limitations on how you can do a traditional song. I mean, to me, there are lots of subtle variations, which is nice, and that shows up on the record. But basically, you want to use an acoustic accompaniment, and you've got 3 parts. Then it was just a matter of who sounded best in the middle, And then are we going to do a high lead with harmonies underneath, or are we going to do one on the top, one on the bottom? Who sounds the best? We would try all different combinations.
So you would try different
We would
configurations?
try
A Dolly sandwich, Emmy sandwich. You know.
Yeah, Linda sandwich. Did all different kinds of sandwiches and combos and club sandwiches here.
It was the most fun I'd ever had singing. I always wanted to be in a group. I always hated being the lead singer, always, always. Because I sang with my family when I was a kid growing up, you know. And I remembered this amazing experience of how much I learned vocally.
There was a survey done by, I think, the Country Music Association or some other prominent country association last year that basically said, of country music listeners, that said that the contemporary country music listener wants not to hear weepy kind of D-I-V-O-R-C-E songs. They're looking for a different kind of more up-tempo in terms of what the subject matter is about.
Well, I don't know who they surveyed.
Like, yeah, I don't either. We still like the real thing but the song.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people, as long as there is D-I-V-O-R-C-E out there, people are going to want to hear somebody like Tammy Wynette sing about it, because
she's a great singer.
She's a great singer, you know, and it touches on something that is real in people's lives. And if music, sure, we want up-tempo songs that make us feel better, but sometimes you have to cry to feel better.
Yeah.
And you have to hear people sing about those sad things in order to say, well, I'm not alone out there. This has given me something to connect with what I'm feeling. This is what I feel.
Yeah.
And so if music doesn't do that, then you might as well just put it in the elevator and keep it there, because otherwise it's not going to affect people, and it's just going to die.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yes. Well said.
For the people who were standing there at the record store looking at this record and kind of debating whether or not to buy it, what would you tell them about? What would you hope that, put them over the...
I said, buy 10 songs, get one free.
Yeah.
That's cute.
This is one of the songs that didn't.
They didn't quite make it on the record. We couldn't cram it on with a crowbar, but maybe we'll get on the other one.
If we can remember it, I've forgotten some of my parts.
Those lives were mine to love and cherish, to guard and guide along life's way. Oh, God forbid that one should perish, and one at last should go astray. I'm lonesome for my precious children.
We mess up a lot.
They live so far away. Oh, may they hear my calling, and come back home someday.
Dolly Parton, good morning.
Well, good morning to you.
And I've got
takes some
so-
effort to look like this.
Well, I can see that. To quote Annelle, who, believe it or not, was Daryl Hannah. Truvy, did she ring true to you? You are a native daughter of the South?
Yeah, it's totally related to her. She's not different from me at all. I mean, it wasn't hard for me to play a Southern girl with a Southern accent, and it's not foreign to me, like you said in your little intro, for me to do hair, because I grew up doing my sister's hair, my friend's hair. I started cutting and bleaching and sawing on my own hair when I was about 15 years old, and I love it. And I think probably had I not been fortunate and made it in the business, which is what I wanted to do, I probably would have been a beautician and probably been a good one.
Oh, you would have been fun.
I'd have done a lot of bouffants and beehives, I'm sure.
Truvy, what kind of a name? Truvy, what, is that a nickname for something else I don't recognize?
I don't know. That was Bobby Harling's name, the guy that wrote the play. But it's a good name. It sounds very Southern to me, very real.
What about the other ones? We've set Truvy, and now Sally Field plays Malin, Olympia Dukakis is Clary, Shirley MacLaine is Weezer, Sam Shepard is your husband, he's Spud.
Yeah.
Are these real names?
Well, there's a lot of names. There are a lot of names like that in the South. So I think all those names sound just fine for this particular script. They all seem to fit the characters.
Now, if you were growing up with your sisters and doing their hair, you probably didn't hang out at the local beauty spot. But that the beauty parlor culture, where gossip is the pastime. My gracious, is that real?
Oh, of course. I think anytime you get a bunch of women doing anything in a room, they talk about everybody. I even wrote a song for the movie that didn't make the movie. It was called Tattletales, and it says something about in the beauty shop, every story is a pearl, and you don't have to roll it to get your hair curled. It's like everybody's always talking about it. But I think women love to gossip, love to
You know, you got to watch yourself. Nobody's safe when they walk out the door.
You obviously like women, though. I mean, you've done a first picture with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. It would strike me that someone who is the new girl in town in terms of your new role as an actress, you have not hesitated to work with real heavies in motion pictures. How come you weren't shyer?
Well, I feel very confident in who I am as a personality, and I've always been real sure of what I do in my world, and I assume when they ask me to do these parts that they think that I can handle it, and I think that I can too. I'm not a great actress, but I'm not intimidated by these people. I feel just fortunate to get the opportunity to work around them, and I learned something from all the people I've worked with. And I do work well with women because I love my sisters and my aunts, and I have a lot of great friends. So
why do you say you're not a great actress?
Well, because I'm not. I mean, I never studied it. I mean, if my acting is pretty much like, I think it's easier for me because I'm a singer, and I do a lot of dramatic things in song, and there's a lot of drama, I think, in emotional songs. So I think that it was easier for me than it would be just somebody just walking in that had never acted, that was, you know, doing something else.
But even so, it looked like acting to my eye. Does the director deal with you differently? I mean, if you don't know the code words and the language and so forth of actresses, does he talk to you in different ways than he does maybe a Sally Field or Shirley MacLaine, who have always been actresses?
That's a good question, and yes, they have to, because I don't know anything. Even after all the movies I've done now, three or four movies, I still don't know like where the light is and where I'm supposed to stand and certain marks and certain terms, like you said. So I have to totally depend on the director to do that. It doesn't bother me because I feel like that's their job, and they know that I'm not a skilled actress or anything, and I don't know all those terms. So you get a good director. That's what they're supposed to do, and Herbert Ross did a real good job. He had a little trouble with me because I wasn't a real actress, and he's so used to working with real skilled people, so he was pretty hard on me at times, but it was all for the best. I think he got a good performance out of me every time that he was very hard on me. I didn't like it, but...
All right, so this is your third film? Have I left something?
This is the fourth one, I
guess.
Four? Yeah.
Okay, well, sooner or later, you got to stop talking yourself as not a real actress. I think you...
Well, I'm not talking myself down. I don't mean that I don't feel that I'm not doing a good job. I just mean I don't pressure myself. I'm not hard on myself because this was not what I don't think that anything is wrong with it. I'm not saying that I'm not doing a good job. I just mean I'm not a real actress.
But I like that about you. So never mind what I said before. Dolly.
Writing one of the songs on her new album, Slow Dancing with the Moon, Hurricane Andrew tore into South Florida. She decided there and then to donate the proceeds from the song Romeo to the Red Cross. What she didn't know at the time is how successful that single and the album would be, and now Dolly has another big hit on her hands. Dolly Parton, good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Stone.
Good to see you.
Good name you got there.
You know, there are so many big names involved in this album. You know, I'd ask you how you got them all to pitch in, but you're Dolly Parton, of course they're going to do it.
Well, most of them have known me all their lives because I've been in show business since 1964 in Nashville, living there. And some of these people that I had on the album are much, much younger, so they kind of cut their teeth on songs of mine and other of the older artists. But we did have a lot of wonderful people on the whole album, and on this particular little song, Romeo, that's the first single off of Slow Dancing with the Moon. We had Billy Ray Cyrus and Tanya Tucker, Kathy Mattea, Pam Tillis, and Mary Chapin Carpenter, and they all were very happy to come be part of it because they knew the money was going to the Red Cross.
Well, let's talk about that song a little bit, Dolly. It's a little controversial here.
Yes, it is.
Now, I know that can help sell a record, but Were you surprised?
You know, I was surprised because I knew it was a cute little song, and I purposely wrote it to cater to a younger audience because country music is so hot now with the new kids. And I have a little nephew, Brian Seaver, who I'm making famous, telling about it, and he's loving it. But anyway, he's 16, and he's really into the girls, and he don't want to do his schoolwork because he'd rather talk to the girls, and they run after him. So I used to always say, Romeo, I think you better get your schoolwork. You better go do your homework. So kind of, yeah, he's the inspiration. And then when I was writing it, then I thought of Billy Ray. I thought, well, he's the Romeo in country music right now. So the two worked out real well. And so now on the radio, when we did the little video, it was just like girls' night out, just a bunch of girls out having fun, having a party. And a lot of the stations won't play it because they say it's very sexist and that women don't think that way. And I said, are you crazy? Do you guys honestly think that we don't check your buns out when you walk away too? We don't.
Dolly.
You didn't know? I'm sorry. Are you not going to play my record?
I'm so disappointed.
But it hasn't been a big problem. Actually, it has just enough attention to bring a lot of attention to the record. And
well, you know, before we go any further, let's take a look and a listen to Romeo. We have a clip here and see if we can't stir things up a little bit more. Here we go.
Let's check them buns out.
You know, it didn't look like you were doing a lot of acting there.
Well, no, we weren't. It was pretty natural. That line, I've got a lot of flack from using that line. Let me tell you, I'm in heat. My dad said that to me. When I was a young girl, my first serious boyfriend. My dad, he didn't like us to date because he had 6 girls. My dad's real country and all those boys, and he was always afraid for us to date. So the first time I was going out with this boy, and Daddy, he didn't want me to go, and he didn't like the family of the people. And I said, well, Daddy, you know, I'm in love. And he said, oh, you ain't in love, you're in heat. So all those years, I remember that. I didn't laugh at the time, but later I laughed, and I thought this is a perfect song to put that line in.
So he gets a writing credit on this one, doesn't he?
You get credit, too.
Speaking of writing credits, I'll Always Love You. Whitney Houston's huge hit.
Bless her heart, I'll always love her.
Do people know that you wrote that song?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people do, but a lot of people may not. But I wrote the song 20-some years ago, and I had a #1 record on it twice in country music. I had it out in '74, the first time it was out when it was first written. And then he used it again in the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas movie with Burt Reynolds, and then The Bodyguard used it. And Whitney did such a wonderful job, and it broke all kinds of records as the longest running #1 song in history.
But do you feel like calling her up and saying, hey,
I do.
Whitney, it's my song. It's my song.
No, she knows it's my song, and I know I wouldn't have had my song done so well and wouldn't have sold it. Didn't do that well when I did it.
Has she called you to thank you?
Yeah, we've thanked each other. We've called each other and sent thank you cards and flowers every time it stayed #1. And then finally, when it broke all the records, I called her up and I said, don't you think it's time you moved over and give somebody else a chance? She was waiting at home to have her baby, which she just did. So anyway, hi Whitney, if you're out there, and I know you're probably up with that baby, those sleepless nights that they were talking about.
You know, we mentioned that the proceeds from Romeo are going to go to the Red Cross. One of the other favorite projects of yours, of course, is Dollywood. How's that going?
Oh, it's great. We're going into our 8th season. Starting this year, we open on April the 24th, and the 25th is our big opening weekend, the big parade on the Friday night, the 23rd. But we have Billy Ray Cyrus and Clint Black performing. Billy Ray on Saturday and Clint on Sunday. And all the money, of course, from the 2 shows at 2 and 7 goes to the Dollywood Foundation, which goes to the education of the county. And we have a whole new area called County Fair, where we have all kind of recreating the old timey fair. It's called Country Fair, but it's kind of like the old county fair that we used to go to. And we have a lot of wonderful things. It's a theme park with all kinds of music, arts, and crafts, and come on down. It's homespun fun.
I wish we had about an hour to talk here. It's really a pleasure to meet you and talk to you,
Well, thank you for everything.
Thanks for coming by.
Good